And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
My opinion of Thunderstone just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. It's a great game. I enjoyed it when I first played it, and I said, this is a good game, but it's no Dominion. As time goes by, I still say the same thing. It's a good game, but no Dominion, except now I don't even care because while it may have started to be like Dominion, now it's transformed for me into kind of a dungeon crawl in cards. And with each expansion that comes out, it gets more and more exciting for me, especially when I use my variant, which I'll talk about in another video. But they just came out with a new expansion for Thunderstone, Thunderstone Dragonspire. And what's cool about Thunderstone Dragonspire is that it's a standalone game. So if you've never played Thunderstone before, you can buy this game and you'll be right on board. In fact, I'll just say straight up, if you're going to buy one version of Thunderstone, this is it. But Thunderstone Dragonspire is also an expansion, adding a ton of new stuff, upgrading everything, having a place to put cards. Every time they come out with an expansion, it seems like they say, this makes the game just a little bit better and will replace something that wasn't so good in the beginning. Many of the problems I had with the original game, like cards for experience, was fiddly. Here they've replaced it with little chips. I had the box didn't hold the cards properly. This box holds everything so far. The game just gets more and more exciting, and this is the third expansion for Thunderstone, but it's by far the best one yet. If you're watching this review wondering how Thunderstone works, I've already done a video on that. This is just going to be talking about Dragonspire from the point of view of someone looking at it as an expansion. However, I will say again that it is a great starter set too. So what comes in here? First, let's look at the box. The box is nicely set up, better than the original box, and it comes with updated all of these cards so that you can update them by colors and what have you. So you can put a lot in here. As you can see, this is about 90% of everything, of all the expansions so far is in this box. I have a little bit in another box. There are cards that I don't use very often, but most of them fit here in this box. Now, what is this in the middle? Well, this is one of the things that I like about this game the most, and it comes with these little counters that we use for experience points. And these counters are so much easier to handle than the original experience cards that I just, to me, not a big deal, but a nice improvement on the game. Another thing that's not a big deal, but a nice improvement on the game, is the board itself here for the dungeon board. You got rank 1, rank 2, rank 3. You put the dungeon deck there, and then the guardian over here if there happens to be one. This is something that, you know, is not necessary, but really helps, and you can see where the dungeon is. I'm waiting to see if they're going to start having other boards come out for the village and such. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see that in the future. But this is nice to have on the side of the table. And this, combined with using the little tokens for experience points, those two things alone make this expansion, I think, worth getting. The basic cards of the deck have also been added, you know, because you need them for the game to play. But they've upgraded the artwork, or changed the artwork. I don't know if you upgrade it. I will say that this one I think is funny, because this is Iron Rations. Iron Rations now apparently is a feast, but go figure, in the new version. Then we got the torch, and then the new torch, whatever. I mix them both in my games, so it doesn't matter. The old militia, the new militia. The new militia looks a lot cooler, even though he looks like he stepped off the set of Lord of the Rings, than this other guy who, I don't know what was wrong with him. And then the dagger and the new dagger. Well, a dagger is a dagger. But there's new artwork on many of the cards. The rule book in Dragonspire is also, it's the basic rules of the game, but they are much, much better written than the first rules. And since this game includes several of the things from the expansions, like traps and treasures and other things like that, it talks about those. So that's a great addition to the game. Alright, now we're going to talk about some of the specific cards that the game has added. Since this is a full-size game, it comes with more cards than an expansion, and it comes with a lot of basic style cards. It does include a couple of the Guardians here. I love the Guardians, the giant creatures that you can fight. It adds a few new spells. This is a Magic Attack +3. It's very similar to the Fireball in the original one. This one's cheaper. It only costs 7, but it doesn't add any light. I actually prefer the Frostbolt because I'm usually not using a Fireball for light. Here's another Silver Storm. I like the idea on this one where you have +1 for each 2 gold that you reveal. This is very similar to the Greed Blade, but you know, it's just you're using money to attack, I guess. Here's Chieftain's Drum, which allows you to discard the top card of your deck And if you name the card correctly, you draw 2 cards. So if you build a deck properly, I don't know, I like cards like this. They add things to the deck. Here's a spell where you can replace any monster in the hall with another one. Can be very handy if there's a monster getting in everyone's way. Spoiled food. This is an interesting one. Everyone gets attack +1 and strength +3 for the battle, but then you destroy one attacking hero at the end of the battle. Although I have to admit that I use this card to get rid of militia. Sorry man, you ate the spoiled food. Soul Gem, +1 for each level of your highest level hero. So this can be a very powerful light object, and it's worth a victory point, like that one. The Thunder Ring, draw a card, and if you reveal discard the top card of each opponent's deck, or one opponent's deck. If it's a hero, you get magic attack +2, and it gives a light. So this is just it's kind of an interesting mix of stuff. This game also includes the mercenaries that were included in the the Doomgate expansion. Here you go to village and buy an additional card, and in the dungeon it's worth 2 light. A guide, very handy and thematic. A trader in the village, you can destroy a card to take any non-hero card up to the cost of 2 more. So basically you trade one thing in for another. And in the dungeon you can draw a card. If it's a monster, you draw another card. So a handy guy to have around. A scout, draw 3 cards in the village, and then place 3 cards top of your deck in any order. Very useful for setting up your next turn. Or in a dungeon, you can look at the top 3 cards of the dungeon and put them back in any order. So you can see there's more mercenaries here. There's new monsters, the Water Wraith, and the Plague Zombie, and the Plague Bear. This one's crazy, though. Each player gains 1 disease whenever another monster is defeated. You're going to be going after this guy because everyone hates those diseases. A Medusa, a very odd-looking Medusa. She looks like she was crossed with a coral snake or something. But I like how she destroys a hero without an edged weapon. All your heroes have to have edged weapons. In other words, you have to have a mirror that you can look into your weapon when fighting her. Thought that was good, thematic. One of my favorite new monsters added to the game. A Walking Scourge, which brings more diseases. I like the Titan. Always think they're cool enemies. And it destroys all but the 2 strongest heroes. And destroys all but the heaviest weapon. So when you go in to fight Titan, you need to go prepared or you're going to lose a lot. But if you have a couple powerful people, you can take him out. The Inferno, there's several of these in there where they provide light in a dungeon. I mean, you don't have to worry about seeing this monster since he's made out of fire. And the Hydra, another cool monster. I like the Assassin. This is a cool idea. Cannot be defeated unless 5 or more heroes are present. That's really tough to do. You might have the power to kill this guy, but to get 5 or more heroes in your hand takes a bit of work and deck juggling. Let's see, some new weapons. We got the Frost Giant Axe, a giant, powerful attack +4 weapon. You got the Gauntlet. This is probably, I don't know if this is my favorite card in this game, but I very much like the Gauntlet, where it has a magic attack and a 2 and a strength +2, but then whoever has that can equip an extra weapon. Now that's a very handy thing to have because, hey, if I can have one guy hold 2 weapons, then I can really be doing well. The next one, the Blue Fire Staff, another magical weapon. The Guardian Blade. I like this one quite a bit because you can block a hero being destroyed. You can discard the hero instead. It's a defensive weapon, and it looks really cool. The Skull Breaker. Then we have some of the new heroes that are included in this game. The Phalanx is an interesting new one. There's a lot of Phalanx. There's only 2 levels for Phalanx. The original level, and then they level up to the Phalanx Leader, as you can see here. He's attack +4, and you draw 1 card for each other Phalanx you reveal. Each of these is attack +2, but they're attack +1 for each other Phalanx. So these are guys who you get the more Phalanx characters in your deck. Brute, a Defender, Flame Watch, that's cool, Evoker, Adept, Half-Orc Raider. You know, I like the different kinds of backgrounds and genres. And then the Veteran Warrior, attack +3. Now what makes the Veteran Warrior interesting is that he can be upgraded to a Berserker, and he can be upgraded to a Reaver, and then he can go all the way up to level 4. First character to level 4, the Veteran Warmonger. Now who wants to bet that AEG is going to release an expansion that adds level 4 versions of all their characters so far. I wouldn't be surprised. But either way, that's still pretty cool. So these are a mix of the cards that are in the game. Dragonspire is not only a good set in its own right. And I say if you're going to buy Thunderstone, buy Dragonspire first. And buy the regular set, the original set, as an expansion to Dragonspire. Not only is it a good original set, but it's the best expansion for the game so far. This is a win-win. If you get this game, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to like it. It's very... the rules clarifications, the components are better, the artwork is superb, a great variety of cards. For me, Thunderstone now is such a diverse, huge, fun game that, I mean, I enjoyed it when I first played it, but with this and the previous two expansions, Thunderstone is really just rocking all over the place. Very much enjoy it. It is very much to me now a card dungeon crawl. And I know that some people will disagree on that, but I originally, when I first did my review, I said that Thunderstone had many similarities to Dominion, but I no longer see those similarities with all these expansions. It has now evolved enough that it's a completely different game, and one that I enjoy in its own right.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.